Aloha patrons! In my recent poll, Footwork got the most votes, followed by tuning your foil. So in this video, we'll look at foot placement, on and off foil, and how to adjust your foil to trim the board. So foot placement on the board. Let's start with being off foil. So when you're slogging out to the wind line, your front foot should be slightly on the windward side and your back foot on the, more or less on the stringer, which is the center line of the boat. Your back foot should be on the stringer or maybe a little bit to windward. As opposed to being this orientation, this is going to actually set you up to point further downwind. Or that is, it's harder to go upwind in this position than this position. Besides heading downwind, you're more likely to scissor because it's harder to bank the board to stay centered as you come up on foil. Now the next thing to determine is where to stand on the board regarding the board's flotation. Stand on the board so that your weight is directly over the flotation of the board, but try to be back just a little bit so the nose of the board is higher than the tail. Again, this is off foil. And once you find that flotation point, you want to adjust your foil so that you stay in this position as it comes up on foil. You can't be stepping forward as it transitions to on foil. So you want to have your feet in the spot when it foils. Once you've determined where to stand while off foil, move the foil in the tracks to sync your off foil foot position with your on foil foot position. Here's how. Except boards with the Tuttle style foil mount, the track mounts allow you to move the foil fore or aft. If you're new to foiling, you might think your foot placement would straddle the mast because that's what's lifting the board. And it is in fact what pushes the board up. But you're actually standing over the leading edge of the foil. That is, the majority of the lift comes from here. So your feet are going to be straddling that point. And depending on where the foil sits in the track, fore and aft, will determine that balance point on the board, fore and aft. If your board climbs steeply onto foil, or you need to move your front foot forward after it comes up on foil, move your foil back in the track. Okay, so that run out, when I was getting up on foil, it almost wheelied and my foot was really up here when I was first getting started. So what I want to do is instead of standing further forward really at the front of the pad, I want to move the foil back and try it again. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so that time having the foil all the way back was better suited for my weight. I'm only 140 pounds, so to hold it down I need a little more leverage by moving forward. But I'd rather be further back on the board, so I've moved the foil back, which seems better, and my feet seem to be right around this area on the foot strap. So I'll try the foot straps here next. I'll start with just the front straps, and then maybe later put on the back strap as I get used to the fronts. If your board isn't coming up on foil at speed, consider moving your foil forward in the tracks. In summary, first find the sweet spot standing on the board off foil. Then, if you need to, move the foil to sync the off foil with the on foil foot position. Lastly, mount the front foot straps accordingly. Now let's look at how board speed can affect your foot position. The rear foil, or stabilizer, is not unlike the stabilizer on an airplane. They both serve to level the craft. Your foil has a small degree of pitch built into the stabilizer. Both an airplane and your foil glide with a slight degree of nose up. At cruising speed, flight is level, but as speeds increase, so does the lift. An airplane will gain altitude, and a foil board might overfoil. If this is happening to you, try shifting your weight forward, moving your front foot forward, or move the foil further back in the tracks. Most modern foils are preset with a minimal amount of pitch. Some models have the option to shim the stabilizer for more or less pitch. Here's what that means. In so many ways, your foil is like an airplane. The front wing is your front foil, and the stabilizer is, well, the stabilizer on your foil. And in this case, it's adjustable, the stabilizer. And if I set it with trim up, as it flies, it's going to fly up. If I adjust the stabilizer even with the front wing, nice and trim. An airplane pilot can adjust the stabilizer mid-flight. We have to compensate by shifting the weight fore and aft. If you have a foil model with an adjustable stabilizer that is set with too much pitch, besides overfoiling, you will experience excess drag regardless of where you stand on the board or mount the foil in the tracks. Fortunately, you can reduce the pitch and drag with a thinner shim and or smaller stabilizer. The one on the bottom has less pitch. If you look closely, you can see it. In an earlier video, How to Wing Foil Jibe, I spent quite a bit of time on the foot transition from one side of the board to the other, and it's worth re-watching this video. Here's just one short clip. Okay, now I've taken my performance board and I've just put it on a simple simulator to demonstrate how to switch your feet without overfoiling. And that is, you're trimming your foil. One mistake I made editing this video, I first demonstrated the technique of switching your feet on foil, then the easier method as the board comes in contact with the water. If I had it to do over, I would demonstrate the easier method first. It is considerably more difficult to switch your feet up on foil than when it's in contact with the water. So I want to stress here that you should learn to switch your feet while your board is skipping on the water before trying to do it on foil. Don't feel pressured to switch your feet on foil. Be safe, put it down, switch your feet, kick it back up. I hope that you've learned something new watching this video and that I'm helping you in your progression to be a better wing foiler. Now please stay tuned for the free ride session after the credits. There's lots of things I'd like to share with you. Welcome back to another free ride session. And you didn't think there was going to be any homework this month, but there is. And the subject is a smaller board. If you're thinking about graduating to a smaller board, there's some basics that you might take for granted. Things like sitting on the board, spinning the board around with your legs, paddling the board prone. Just some basic skills. Now, I started surfing when I was 12, so all of these were second nature to me, but I see some of my students struggle with what I would call basic. So just take the board in the water, and next time there's no wind, and just practice some of these basics. After you've mastered that, try it with the wing, and try and manipulate the board with just the wing. Jibing, tacking, these skills will come into play when you're under pressure. Now, in the first part of the video, I had a clip of a foot strap, and my foot is way too loose in the foot strap. If you push your foot all the way in, this is how you're going to have an ankle injury. Now, I'm going to do another video on foot straps at some point, but a big no-no is having the foot strap up around your ankle. When you fall, it doesn't come out and you'll hurt yourself. And as long as we're on the subject of straps, you've probably noticed my front foot curling up on the front strap. I'm definitely using the front strap to leverage the board. And I've known this for a while, ever since I started mounting cameras on the board. It got my attention. And not just using it to manipulate the board, but the foot straps also give me a landmark on where to place my feet. And this was really evident when I tried the Nash board without straps. That Nash board is about the same size. It was very loose and maneuverable, and without straps I just felt insecure. My intention was to put foot straps on it, but I just ran out of time. Now, if you're thinking about foot straps, if you think you're ready for it, they're definitely worthwhile. Now, regarding the footwork in this video, I felt like I covered a lot of information, but I also feel like there's so much more. And right now I want to turn the microphone over to my lovely wife, Patty, and have her give you her input on footwork.
Thanks, Alan. And hello, everybody. I'll try to give you my experience, if hopefully it'll be useful to somebody. I am not a super athlete. I'm also not very young, and I'm not very big or very strong, but I'm a lifelong sailor and windsurfer, and thoroughly enjoying this sport. I think it incorporates all the fun of sailing with the glide and carve that you feel in something like powder snowboarding. So I'm really in love with this sport and having a ball with it. So yeah, the footwork though. The footwork, I was super challenged by the footwork. My windsurfing muscle memory said step back to change your feet. And I had to actually practice the footwork change in the living room in order to get override and start stepping forward through the turn. So Alan's advice to put the board down and change the feet, that was really helpful for me. I had to do that in the beginnings to avoid a lot of falls. But over time, it's gotten better, and I can switch my feet more cleanly and more often on foil. The other really helpful tip that he gave me was to remember to trim the foil through the turn, which helped me keep the board out of the water longer and come out of the turn still on foil, and then think about switching my feet.
Thank you, Patty. Now I'd like to end this free ride session with some slow motion edits in silence. But before I go, I want to thank you for your support. I couldn't make these videos without your help. Please spread the word about our efforts here on Patreon, and I hope to see you on the water. Aloha.